I started my first marketing agency back in 2007, I think, and since then it's been about 17 years since I got into the marketing game. I've been helping marketing agencies scale for the last 11 years, and I've helped my clients generate hundreds of millions of dollars. Frankly, I don't even keep score anymore. I've spent thousands of hours in this industry, and I've flown around the world and spoken at all the events. There's been a lot of lessons and insights on this journey. I went from struggling to scale to now my business, Agency Mavericks, doing multiple 7 figures a year and helping other agencies grow. And I want to make this video to teach you guys some of the biggest lessons and some of the biggest insights that I picked up from 17 years in the marketing agency game. So this will be really, really useful for anyone that's been running an agency for a year or for 5 years or 10 years. Even if you've been in this as long as me, you're going to learn a lot from this video because I've tested every marketing method, every strategy, every software. I've hired every agency on the planet and pretty much anything else you can think of. So let's get into it. Okay, the first thing I want to talk about is the importance of niching down, or niching down as some of you guys call it, and becoming a specialist. I know it's really easy when you first start out to just say yes to anyone who walks in the door and build a website, run a campaign, run ads, do email marketing for anyone who's got some money. The problem is, if you're a generalist, you're always going to be racing to the bottom on price, and you'll always be seen as someone selling a commodity. Once you start to specialize, a couple of things happen. One, you learn more about the solution that you offer, and you learn more about the clients that you help, more than anyone else. And that knowledge, that specialist deep knowledge, allows you to charge higher rates. And believe it or not, charging higher rates actually attracts better clients who are less of a headache and value what it is you do, and usually just get out of the way and let you do your job. Some examples of successful niches that we've seen: home contractors. Again, I wouldn't go for the single plumber who's got plumbing business and just operates out of his spare room. I would go for an established plumbing company that has multiple plumbers out on the road. So home contractors, professional services, so financial planners, accountants, lawyers, coaches, consultants, authors, information specialists. Again, I would try and avoid going for the business coach or the life coach who's just starting out. I would go with more established companies who have budgets. Solar is a big niche at the moment that's doing really well, and also health practitioners. So physios, chiros, dentists, cosmetic surgeons, GP clinics. The more you learn about your target audience and the problems that they have and how you can help them, and the more you design a specialized solution to help them, the higher you can charge, the higher fees you can charge, the better clients you'll attract. So 100%, I would focus on niching down and becoming a specialist that solves a specific problem for a specific group of people. Number 2 is building a repeatable client acquisition system. Now, the amount of agencies that I've spoken to who rely on referrals and word of mouth and think that they don't need to do any form of marketing because they don't need to, because they have leads coming in. And that's great while the referrals and the word of mouth is working. Every single agency I've worked with at some point goes through a dry patch where there are no referrals, no inbound leads from word of mouth, and they feel powerless because they have no control over their lead flow. The power of inbound marketing for agencies cannot be overestimated. If you solve a problem for a client, the simplest thing you can do is shoot a very simple video showing how you solve that problem and stick it on YouTube. You've then got some audio that you can turn into an audio file. You've also got the transcript of that video that you can turn into some text or a blog post or a series of emails. You can use that YouTube video to attract people to you. It's exactly what we're doing here. You can also use that YouTube video to nurture people who already know you, to further build authority and get them to book in a call. So content marketing is the number one strategy that we've used over the years to attract the right type of clients to us. The point is, it has to be a repeatable and predictable client acquisition system that doesn't rely on you, the agency owner, having amazing charisma or this incredible personal network that you can just tap into when you need some more contracts and you need some more leads. It's got to be a repeatable system that turns strangers into conversations and paying clients. The third thing I want to talk about here is pricing strategies. There's multiple different pricing strategies. There's hourly rates, there's value-based pricing, there's performance-based pricing. I don't like hourly rates at all. And the number one reason is that you and your client are never going to agree on what your hourly rate is. You just wouldn't believe me if I told you what my hourly rate is, so I'm leaving it a bother because it's astronomical. For me to come out of my business and spend an hour thinking about your business and helping you is worth more than anyone could afford. So I don't charge an hourly rate. And the problem with performance-based fees is that there are usually variables involved in you performing and getting the result that are out of your control. In other words, there are things that are happening within the client's business that may prevent you from actually hitting the performance metrics that you've agreed to. So my personal preference is value-based pricing. If you can talk to a client about the potential return on investment from hiring you and working with you, and get them to understand the value that they will receive from you solving this problem for them, and value-based pricing becomes a no-brainer for your client. Now, of course, you have to have the confidence that you can deliver, and when you're starting out, you might adopt an hourly rate just to get some runs on the board and build your portfolio. But once you have proven to yourself and the market that you can get results, pivot to value-based pricing as fast as you possibly can. The next piece I want to talk about here is the art of closing high-ticket clients. And I'm going to say high-ticket because when I started out, I was focusing on low-ticket clients, and then I found I had to spend a lot of time walking upstream and uphill to get the high-ticket clients. Once you are known for solving a problem at a particular price point, it's going to take you a lot longer to walk uphill and get the higher ticket clients. So you may as well just start at the top end of town. It's the same amount of work, by the way, to close a low ticket client and a high ticket client. It's just different words that come out of your mouth. So the first thing you want to do is qualify the prospect to make sure that you are talking to someone who actually has a problem that you can solve, has a realistic budget to invest in a solution. They have the authority to make the decision. They are the decision maker in the business, and that they want to do this now, not next year. It's the BANT framework. It's been around for 100 years. Use it to qualify prospects. Once they are qualified and you are confident that you can actually help them and they have realistic expectations and they have a good budget and they can make the decision and they want to do it now, then identify the gap between where they are and where they want to be, and position authentically, if you believe that you can, position you and your agency as the solution that's going to help them bridge that gap. Quick power tip for the advanced users here: selling paid discovery as the entry point into your agency is going to dramatically increase the conversion rate on the front end and increase the conversion rate on the back end into high ticket retainers. The agencies that we mentor are closing paid discovery clients at an average of 85% into ongoing recurring revenue plans. The next thing I want to talk about is how to scale your agency without burning out. Burning out's not fun. It happens to all of us. It's happened to me several times. I, on a weekly basis, will be talking to an agency owner who is experiencing burnout and wants to just walk away from the whole thing. And so the trick to avoiding burnout is to make sure you hire the right people at the right time to work on the right thing. And I will say this: burnout typically comes from you doing the work that you are not the best at and that you don't enjoy. So identify your sweet spot as early as you can. There's a great book called Ikigai that you can read. It's a Japanese take on the sweet spot methodology. What are you really good at? What do you enjoy? And what will people pay for? So you want to go home at the end of the day energized. I spend most of my time creating content. I do a little bit of coaching and I do strategizing and I design workflows and products for our customers. And that really energizes me. If I had to do one-on-one coaching 8 hours a day, I would be exhausted. If I had to write code or write CSS or do anything technical these days, I would be exhausted and I'd be grumpy. And I would burn out a lot faster. So identify your sweet spot and make sure you stay in your sweet spot as much as you can, which means then identifying the tasks that you don't want to do and hiring people that can do those tasks. Doesn't mean you need to hire full-time employees straight away. You can hire freelancers or contractors to begin with until you have the capacity to bring them on full-time. You also want to make sure that you've got systems and processes that your team can follow. And here's the big mistake I see agency owners make is they don't hire fast enough because they don't have their processes ready. I can guarantee you your processes will never be ready to hire. So hire someone who's already done the job somewhere else and get them to write your processes for you. It's a life hack. You're welcome. Stick around for more of those. The next thing I want to talk about is how to master client retention and upsells. I really like having a methodology that you follow. Create some kind of sticky offering around that methodology. Now, you can have software or some piece of technology or some proprietary intellectual property that you've developed that they can't get anywhere else. And then craft a done with you and a done for you offer around that methodology. So if they want to do it with you, it's a lower price point, but you might just hold their hand and help them and guide them along the way. If they want you to do it for them, then they pay a premium for you to do that for them. That's how you get your client through the Ascension model. Sell paid discovery on the front end and then offer them a done with you or a done for you model. I'm not a big fan of the DIY model, sticking people into a school community and selling an online course, just because you need a lot of customers to make that worthwhile. And maybe I'm just at a stage in my life where I can't be bothered doing that. So I really like the done with you and the done for you as kind of a hybrid model. One thing I just happened to fall into very early on in my journey, I was quite lucky, was the power of partnerships. So I just met a few people who had large audiences that were a similar audience to the one that I was serving. I would go and speak at their conferences. I created content in conjunction with them. We ran webinars. We created podcast episodes. We shared that content and it brought leads to me. There are multiple people I can thank and think off the top of my head that helped me do this, and it was a win-win for everyone because they were getting my expertise and free content for their audience, and I was in the process attracting people to me who would then approach me and say, hey, I saw this thing you did with Dave or with Dale. Can you do that for us? Because I'm really excited about it. The opportunity now to explore relationships with white label partners is better than it's ever been, purely because there are so many white label partners available. So the process that I would adopt to find a reliable white label partner now is I would have them do, and this is the mistake I made early on, I just had them deliver a client project that had a deadline of next week, and I'd never used the white label partner before. So instead now what I would do is I'd have them work on a project that does not matter, a project that we've already done in the past, just to test out their communication and their skill set. Communication is more important than skill set, I promise you. They've got to have the skill set, but they've got to be able to communicate, and they've got to be able to let you know when they're stuck, if they're going to miss deadlines, and how you can help them succeed. So get them to work on a project that doesn't matter. The second time round, get them to work on a project that you're also going to deliver as a fail-safe. And then the third time around, get them to actually work on a project and you don't need to be involved. And find ways to build these mutually beneficial partnerships. If you've got services that other agencies don't offer, approach them and offer to serve their clients. When I first started out, I was working in an advertising agency in the same building as an advertising agency who didn't understand digital at all. They were a traditional print media, radio, television advertising agency, and they started inviting me into their client meetings as their digital sidekick, and we picked up a lot of business just by me being in those meetings. So identify other agencies in your area who don't have the services that you offer, pick up the phone and introduce yourself. Okay, I want to talk about the role of personal branding, because I think now more than ever there is an opportunity for founder-led agencies to really do well. We are in a world where AI is eating everything, and human beings, consumers, even in the B2B space, are craving more than anything just to connect with another human being who can empathize, understand their problem, and design a solution to help them get from this side of the river to that side of the river. AI is taking over everything, and I think the future of work is humans and agents working together. So use your experience, your opinions, to publish thought leadership content that will attract clients. And sure, you might want to build a brand around the agency if you ever want to sell it at one point. By the way, I will tell you this, the agency business model is an incredibly difficult business model to sell. Not impossible, but very difficult. I think the more realistic option for most people watching this video is that you build an agency to a point where it's making good profit. You take the profit out of the agency and invest that profit in other wealth building strategies like property or other businesses. Balance your personal brand with your agency brand, but I can tell you now, the fastest way to get traction and the fastest way to grow is to appeal to your clients on a personal level so that they want to work with you and your team. Just because you are the face and the voice of the agency doesn't mean you have to work on every single account. When an agency comes to us, not every agency gets to work with me one-on-one. I introduce them to our team and they trust our team because I've introduced them to the team, and they trust me because I publish content on the internet. That's the model, that's how it works. Right, a couple of things that need addressing. Dealing with difficult clients. Don't be afraid to fire a client who is not respecting your process, not respecting your team, not profitable, and not fun. There's no point them hanging around. Clear that old energy out and make way for new energy to come into the agency. I know it's a scary thing to do, especially when you feel like you need the revenue, but I promise you, if you are thinking about firing a client, you've already fired them. You just need to have the conversation with them, and there are polite ways you can do that. The way I like to do that is to say to a client, hey, look, I know we went into this relationship in good faith. I don't think it's working. I think you would agree that we've got some problems here. I think it's best that we part ways. And I don't think we're the best people to help you with your project. I think you need to find another agency to do this. We're not the droids you're looking for. We need to part ways. I need to have this conversation with you so we can figure out how to wrap up any loose ends. If there are outstanding invoices, outstanding work, let's just act like grown-ups, get the outstanding work done, get the outstanding invoices paid, and then we can part ways and chalk it up to experience. The other thing I'll talk about is managing cash flow and financial stability. Please, please, please make sure that you are putting aside a certain percentage of your money for a buffer for when things dry up and you go through a quiet period, because you will. Everyone does. Every agency I've worked with does, and my own business has done this in the past as well. Every business will go through a rough patch. So please put some money aside for a rainy day, put your money aside for tax, and make sure you put your money aside to pay yourself as the business owner. I don't personally subscribe to the profit first methodology. I think it's great if you're a freelancer and you're dealing with small amounts of money. I don't think it works at a larger scale, partially because if you're in a larger business and you really want to grow, you need to reinvest cash back into the business to grow it. So I haven't seen profit first work at a 7-figure or multiple 7-figure business. I might be wrong, but that's just my personal experience. But I also think the whole profit first methodology requires you to have 8,000 bank accounts, which is just ridiculous. I think you do need to put money aside for tax, and you do need to put money aside for paying yourself and for a rainy day. So make sure you get across that. And also the number one thing that you should do is please don't reconcile your own books. Don't do your own books. Find a good accountant and find a good bookkeeper who can take care of this all for you. Don't put your head in the sand and pretend that AI is not here and pretend that the industry is not changing. It is. The industry is changing at a rapid pace, and you need to stay ahead of industry trends. You need to carve out at least half a day a week of continuous learning and adaptation and figuring out what's happening in the marketplace, what's happening with your competitors, what's happening with technology, what's happening economically, socially, globally, and make sure that you're staying ahead of the curve. Because if your clients think that you're lagging behind and that you're not innovating, they will bounce. They will go to an agency that they think is more innovative. So make sure you're carving out that time to stay ahead of the trends, and then communicate those trends to your audience and your clients, your current clients, just to let them know that you are continuing to innovate, and it also helps keep you top of mind. All right, a few strategies for building and nurturing a high performance team. One is have a recruitment process in place. Even before you get there, rule number one is always be looking for good talent. Even if you're not ready to hire someone right now, you can always put them on the bench, keep them in your Rolodex if you like, keep them in your CRM, and tap them on the shoulder when you need to. Have a good recruitment strategy in place and a good process, and stick to it. Do not hire people because they're available. Hire them because they are able. We are not running a community college here. It is not our job to hire project managers and then teach them how to be project managers. It is our job to hire project managers and have them teach us how to do good project management, and have them bring their experience and their process to our agency. That's how you grow your agency faster, and that's how you make your agency stronger. Create a culture that attracts and retains good talent. So turn up, show up as the leader that you want your team to be. Show up consistently. Show them that there is a pathway for them to grow as individuals and for them to skill up and improve. There's a fantastic book called Help Them Grow or Watch Them Go. I think it is. I can't remember who wrote it. Read that book, and also read Good Authority by Jonathan Raymond. It's a fantastic book on how to lead teams. Also, make sure you have regular meetings with your teams, regular weekly whips, regular daily huddles, and regular one-on-ones with everyone in the team to make sure that they feel heard and seen and valued. All right, so that's 17 years of marketing advice boiled down into one video. If you're interested in working with me and the team here to help you scale your marketing agency like countless clients before, just click the link to learn more. It'll be in the description. We even offer a 100% ROI guarantee. We are so confident that our program works, so your investment with us is safe. And in that program, it basically has all of my guidance, all of my strategies. You can connect with all of the different coaches, mentors, and agency owners in my network. So if you're just looking to level up your marketing agency, it's the sort of place that you definitely want to go. Hey, if you learned something from this video, make sure you like and subscribe. I'm Troy Dean. Let's get to work.